me. So it was a no-brainer in the end, and I'm very happy I made that jump.
And just finally from me, looking at the draw now, obviously with the two old firm teams out of there, I think that probably just about makes you guys favourites. How's that tag sitting?
It's not something I've really thought about, to be honest. You know, all the clubs that are in the semis now, we've had very difficult games against, so we know how hard it's going to be, and we're going to have to be at the top of our game to beat Dundee United on Saturday. And obviously, if we get through that, it's going to be another tough game, because those two teams have give us a hard time this year. So we know that it's definitely not going to be easy. It's going to be extremely hard, but we're going to work hard to try and get to the final.
Thanks, mate.
Christian, what have you learned from those previous semi-finals that you can take from into this game?
Well, you know, it's extremely difficult games. You know, very sore. You know, after losing to them, and thinking that it's obviously tough, and we're going into that one, and you just don't want to have that feeling after the game. And it's very disappointing. So I think we've worked so hard this week, and we're just trying to get that positive result. It's not about what I've learned really. It's just remembering that hurt after the game and trying not to get that again.
I take it you're pretty fed up being asked about it, what went wrong in a semi-final, and want to go that step further. Yeah,
exactly. We've watched the games back. We know in-house what went wrong, and football, loads of little things happen, and hopefully we can get positive things happen for us on the weekend, and we can get to the final.
I know you scored against Hearts last year at Hampden. What was that feeling like, and how good would it be for you to do it again and get you to the final?
Yeah, it was a great feeling. First time scoring at Hampden and going in that game, I knew that was my 100th professional goal. So that was obviously a nice feeling, but obviously couldn't really celebrate or enjoy it because we lost the semi-final. So definitely learn from those games. We just got to go on to the next one, and hopefully we get this one right.
There's an extra bonus this year with the Scottish Cup in the European football until Christmas. How much would that mean to the club to be able to do that?
Yeah, it'd be massive. Obviously we're in Europe already, but to get that extra bit would be amazing. It's obviously a great earner for the football club, and it's what we set out to do at the start of the season, is to hopefully get to that point. So we're all looking forward to it. We just got to keep working, and hopefully we get that good result on the weekend.
Thank you.
Christian, is there a feeling that this is going to be the difference, the Scottish Cup, between a good season and a great season?
Yeah, well, considering where we ended up last year, I think this year has already been a very improved season. We're in a good position in the league, and obviously we're in the semi-final of the cup, so we're looking forward to it. I think it's definitely an improved season from last year, but there's definitely more to do, and I think getting to a final will definitely be that little bit extra, which we're all looking forward to.
And for you and for the rest of the players, is there a feeling that Hibs should be in finals every year? They should be, if not lifting a trophy, challenging for trophies at finals every season?
Yeah, it's obviously extremely difficult to win the league and the cup finals with Celtic and Rangers. They're obviously massive clubs with massive budgets, and it can be very difficult. But we've got to be getting as close to them as we possibly can, and we can do that by just having a good team spirit, good lads around the place, knowing you've got a good manager. So we're definitely going to be trying to push them guys as much as we possibly can. And obviously we've got to the two semi-finals this year, which is obviously great for the football club, but we just need to go that step further.
Yeah, you'll be thinking third time lucky, won't you? You'll be probably trying to draw from maybe the positive performance in the first one, and as you've been alluding to there, maybe putting some wrongs right from the other semi. Yeah,
I think for us it's just about doing it for 90 minutes. We were really good against Hearts in parts of the game, and then the first half against St Johnstone we were really good, and then second half very disappointed. So hopefully we can put the full package on Saturday, and that's definitely what we're trying to do.
Christian, you've scored in every round so far. Is that something that kind of gives you a wee bit extra confidence going into the semi?
Yeah, I enjoy the cup competitions. I always have, even when I was playing down south. Don't know what it is, just something that's been really good for me. So yeah, looking forward to it. Hopefully get another one and get us to the final.
In general, you're scoring as well as Kevin and Martin Boyle. You feel that every game you're going out, you feel like you're going to score or create chances, create goals for others as well?
Yeah, I think that's been massive for us this season, having goals from all over the park. You know, Boyley from playing out wide to get the numbers that he has. He's had an incredible season, and Nizzy his first year in the Scottish Premier League, and you know the figures that he's done, got himself in the Scottish setup, has been great. So I'm sure that the manager is very happy with the goal scoring options that he's got. It's got us in a great position in the league, and obviously we're in the semi-final. So hopefully, one of the three of us can get a few goals in the semi-final and get us to the final.
Cheers.
Christian, apologies if I butchered the pronunciation of this. Was it Carmarthen Town that you last won a trophy with?
Yeah, Carmarthen, yeah.
Yeah. Did you just get the Europa League playoff off the back of that?
No, it was like the League Cup, so we didn't get any kind of Europa or anything like that. No, nothing at all, unfortunately.
But I can imagine, obviously, if that's the thing you've lifted, I mean, how was that back then? I can imagine perhaps lifting the Scottish Cup with Hibs would perhaps be a bigger achievement. Yeah,
it was great. We won it 2 years running. It was my first game in the first game was the final, and I come on for the last 15 minutes of extra time. It was the first game I think I've played on telly as well, so it was nice. All my friends had watched the game and stuff like that, so that was great. And then the second game, we won on penalties, and the same person scored the winning penalty kick in both finals, which is surreal. So it was obviously a great occasion, and you know, not many people get to win silverware in their career, so to be quite close to doing that with Hibs is a good feeling, and we need to fully focus on the weekend and try and get that positive result to get us to the final.
I don't know who it is at Hibs that keeps tipping you for the Welsh national team and things like that, but if you go into the sort of summer months and stuff with a winner's medal perhaps, then it can only help your chances, surely.
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I think I'm probably a bit too far off it at the moment, but you know, they've got some unbelievable players, and it's a massive tournament, and going to be watching on my couch, I think, but that's no problem with me. That's what I'm used to doing, and I'll be supporting the boys 100%.
Christian, I know you won't want to look too far beyond Saturday, but you've also got a trip to Pittodrie as well, obviously in that sort of race for third. How big a couple of weeks is this for the club? Yeah, and we're all very aware of that. After the game, we sat down and we realised that what we've got coming up, and you know, we know how hard it's going to be, so everyone's fully focused on the next few games. We know how massive they are for the football club, so everyone's just in the zone now and trying to get these results that we need to obviously get third and get to the final. Is it an exciting sort of period? Because usually, you know, for a lot of clubs and a lot of players at this time of the year, they're sort of winding down because there's little to play for, but you've still got so much to play for. Yeah, it's very exciting to play for things. You know, I'm not one of those people who would like to just be relaxing towards the end of the season now with nothing to play for. You know, we've got a great opportunity to do massive things for the football club and go down in history. You know, not many sides have been close to doing what we could possibly do. So that's a massive motivation for the squad.
Christian, as a Newport boy, maybe a daft question. Are you into your rugby? Will you be watching the Lions this summer? You talked about the Euros there.
Yeah, well, my dad was supposed to be going. He's been saving with all his friends for years, but they've just cancelled. So I think they're going to wait till the Australia one. But yeah, definitely going to be watching the Lions.
I don't know if you've seen the squad. We're getting quite excited because 8 Scots have made it. We've got nearly as much as the Welsh.
Well
you've got 10. We've got 8.
Alan Wynne-Jones is captain, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Do you follow it? Are you into it?
Yeah, I do enjoy the rugby. I played it till I was 16, 17, you know, in school, and absolutely loved it. And where I'm from, it's a very like rugby based place, and the schools I went to, you know, every PE lesson was you're out on the pitch playing rugby, you know. So something I've always done and really enjoyed playing. And my dad was a rugby man. My dad never kicked a football in his life, you know. So it's just one of those things. So
are you the black sheep of the family? Have you let him down?
Oh, I'm a little brother, to be fair. Yeah, but I've managed to merge my old man into loving the football, you know. So I loved rugby growing up, you know. I played probably every position as well, which was fun.
Good man, thank you.
Thank you.
Just Christian.
For us, Chris Cadden unfortunately is ruled out for the season. Jamie Murphy returns to the squad. He's been back training fully this week, and everybody else. Kevin Nisbet returned to the squad again. Missed out obviously last weekend with a slight ankle injury, but he'll return to the squad as well.
It's an unusual situation, Jack, because obviously I've had 2 disappointments at Hampden in the last 6 months, but yet with Rangers and Celtic both out of it, I think you guys are just favourites to actually lift the trophy. So how do you view it when you take all that into consideration?
Well, I think to take the second part to begin with, whether you're labelled favourites or outsiders, I think doesn't really matter an awful lot when you get to this stage of the tournament. I think when all the teams that are left in it realise they're only 2 wins away from achieving major success, I think that goes out the window. So for us, it's not something that we've either spoken about or paid much attention to. And then, again, to a degree, the previous experiences don't count for anything because it's a game in its own merits on Saturday. However, we've pointed out we've had the soreness of losing 2 semi-finals close together, or relatively close together. And the one thing that it does do is give you that acute reminder of what that feels like, and it is painful. And you have 2 choices in that regard: not want to go back there to avoid that feeling, or get back there to make sure you come out on the right side of that feeling. And we've got a group that's fully determined, I think, to have that positive feeling in the aftermath of Saturday's game.
Do you talk about the failures, those two games, or do you try not to talk about too much in the build up to a game like this?
No, well, you can never affect anything that's already gone. The only thing we can affect is each game that lies ahead for us, and we can affect the semi-final on Saturday. We can affect it in terms of the type of performance we produce, and we can affect it in terms of the end result that we get from it. So that's been our sole focus. Anything that's gone in the past, we can't do anything about now. The only thing we can control is what lies ahead, and we've got the opportunity to do that at the weekend.
In a strange roundabout way, is there more pressure on the 4 teams that are left in it without Rangers or Celtic in there?
No, I think it's highly disrespectful to assume that any of the teams that are left in it think that it changes the dynamics of it. We, like I'm sure the other managers would tell you, have believed that we could win a cup this season. I think when you're a Premiership team, I think you should believe that's a realistic ambition for you, irrespective of the teams that you come up against. I think that's been proven in the cup competitions. The fact that neither of the Old Firm have been through to the last 4 in any of the major cup competitions. So rather than that being something that they've not done well, I think it should be more focused on the fact that there's good teams in Scotland, competitive teams who are good enough on their day to win against any given opposition. So I don't think, certainly I can only speak for myself, but it certainly doesn't change the dynamics of us believing we can win the tournament or the opportunity it presents. We would feel as if we had the same opportunity if both Rangers and Celtic were at this latter stage as well.
Just finally for me, Jack, you made a new signing this week. What will he bring to your squad?
I'm not going to say too much about it, Keith, because it's not all been confirmed yet. Subject to obviously completion of his final medical. So I think when that point comes around, then I'm happy to speak about it in full then. But I think, like always, I would prefer it to all be completed, and then I would speak properly about it. But naturally, if things does go through, it's another really promising young Scottish player that we've managed to attract to the club.
Thanks, Jack. Good luck.
Thanks, Keith. Thank you.
Jack, will you be doing anything differently, or have you done anything differently this week as a manager compared to the previous semi-finals?
No, I mean, I think it's a fair question, because I think you'll always reflect on what you do, and if there's anything you can do differently or better. But the truth is, we're fairly structured on how we work, and in the main this season, it's proven to be the right way to work in terms of the relative consistency of results and where we've found ourselves in cup competitions and in the league. There's little bits and pieces that we've discussed with the players that if we wanted to do things slightly differently, we would have done. But I don't think the players have apportioned the defeats to anything other than the first one, very fine margins on the day, and the second one, one of our poorest 45 minutes of the season. So I think that they're honest and enough to look at that pragmatically, rather than trying to look at it to do with superstition or anything that within the routine that wasn't right. So been aware of it, discussed it, but felt as if the way we've worked all season has given us relative success. So it's what we'll try and do in the build-up, or we have done, in the build-up to this game on Saturday. And
personally for you, in terms of your management experience, how much have you learnt from from that, the hurt and the disappointment, and how you can prepare for a semi-final?
I think all it does is, as I said earlier, you don't want the feeling, so you want the opposite feeling. I've had both sides of the feeling as management. I've come out in these big games and had enjoyed success and a good feeling, then I've had the soreness off it as well. And I've been beyond semi-finals, then had the soreness in finals, and it does hurt and it is painful. But as I mentioned earlier, that all it does is either make you not want to be there, or strengthen your resolve to make sure you have that success, and that's all it's done for me. It's certainly not diminished my desire to try and bring major silverware to the club, and hopefully that's been evident with how we've progressed through the Scottish Cup this season to get to another semi-final.
The Dundee United performance against Aberdeen in the last round earned a fair bit of praise. Is that the kind of United you'll have to prepare for this weekend? Well,
I'm sure it's the Dundee United that Mickey will want us to face, because they were hugely impressive on that afternoon. They have enjoyed a terrific season. Again, it's maybe went under the radar a little bit in comparison to some of the other stories in Scotland this season, but I think to come back into the Premiership and be as comfortable as they've been for large parts of the season, threaten to be in the top six, and then obviously progress through the last four of major tournament, is testament to the job that Mickey has done at the club. Then have good calibre of players as well. League games have been tight, albeit they've all, with the exception of the draw, have all been in our favour. So always respectful of the opposition, believe it will be a difficult game, as all semi-finals are. But as a group, I think I've had the sense around training this week that the players are ready. They're ready to go.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sheila.
In what frame of mind do you go into this one? What's your predominant emotion, I guess, going into this big semi?
Excitement and looking forward to it. I think you work as a player or as a manager or a coach for occasions and big games, and we've been fortunate. We've had quite a few of them in a short period of time, and this is another one. So I think for players and staff, it is much better to be in May and be preparing for this type of fixture than have a meaningless league game to look forward to, or no weekend or no fixture or whatever it might be. So for us, nothing other than excitement, anticipation, and as I mentioned earlier, a group of players I think that very much look ready to go at the moment.
Much is made in professional sport of the mental side of the game. How big for you is the psychological side of this one?
It's no different to the psychological side of the game for every single match. The prize to get to a cup final is one that people focus on, but I think for us it's been about creating a culture all season that is about the same mindset for every single game, irrespective of opponent, whether it be a league game or a cup game. And so, again, looking at the consistency of our approach to this week, it's the same for every single game. It doesn't guarantee that you win games. Only the very, very few teams win every single week, but we're fighting hard to create a mindset amongst the players that their approach to every game is one that means that mentally they're prepared and they're ready to go, that they back themselves, they trust in what we do, they trust each other. And as I said, over the course of the season, they've shown that to be right more often than it's not been.
And do you think a run to the final, and in your opinion, for your side, hopefully lifting it, could turn what's a good season already into, I don't know, a great season?
Yeah, I think that's pretty obvious. I think if we've had, I wouldn't say it's a good season. I think we've had a very good season. I think the level of consistency the team has shown. I think the club was just above relegation zone when I took this job a year and a half ago. So the progress the squad of the players has made has been brilliant. We've continually been in semi-finals and consistently been around that last four since I came to the club as well. But to go in to make yourself part of the club's very fabric and history, you win silverware. That's what the players did in 2016. And rightly deserve their place in club folklore. But this group that I'm working with at the moment, if that opportunity is there for them to do that, and as you said, they will shift from being a group of players that people will remember as having had a good season or performed at a level that this club hasn't done regularly enough, to one that goes down in folklore, and it's a very obvious incentive for them as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. You ask a Hibs fan what the Scottish Cup means to them, and instantly they'll go 2016, the last second goal. What does it mean to you, the Scottish Cup?
Well, it still retains its romance for me. I grew up dreaming of lifting that cup as a player. For me, a lot of the games that have been replayed, I think via your own channel at the moment, Carradine, are games that I remember fondly. Different teams involved in different players, iconic images of players lifting that trophy, and the closest I got as a player was the semi-final. So it has retained its magic for me. It's never ever diminished in what I believe to how big a competition it is and how much it means to lift it. And you referenced 2016 there. I know from the players that are still at the club how much that day meant to them, and I think it's brilliant that the competition itself is still viewed in that way in Scotland. I don't think there's many that don't view it that way. So for me, it still holds that. It's something that I've always wanted to do, and I would love to do it as a manager. I didn't do it as a player. I'd love to do it as a manager.
Jack, just earlier on this week, Josh Doidge nominated for Young Player of the Year. Deserved recognition for him?
Yeah, I mean, everybody is always going to be biased, prejudiced towards their own players. But I would have been astonished if he hadn't been nominated. I believe he should win it. That's very obvious for me to say. But he's the youngest in that quartet. In the case of, I think, Lewis and David, significantly younger. At 18 years old, to have the season he's had, show the maturity he's had, and also show the improvement he's had over the course of a whole season, not just a little bit of a season, I think is outstanding. So delighted for him, and that personal recognition, I think, is a good reflection for us as a club, and naturally I hope he goes on to win it. As I said, I think it's thoroughly deserved.
Because it's not just on, obviously he's done well on the park, but he's had all the off the park stuff as well to deal with, big links down south and things like that. I mean, have you been just as impressed in that side of it as well in his first season as a full-time, well, not full-time professional Hibs, but first season in the first team week in, week out?
Well, yeah, I mean, something obviously Carradine asked earlier about the mindset and the psychological aspect of the game, or it's been referenced to this conversation, and the truth is it's a hugely significant part of sport and football, and the one thing that Josh has shown is the ability to handle the on-pitch challenges, as you've mentioned, but he has a temperament and character that is very well suited to elite sport, and he's handled he's really steep upward curve, if you like, brilliantly. If you get the chance to interview him or get the chance to have conversation with him, you would appreciate that right away. There's an innocence about him still, and a youthfulness about him, but circled with a maturity and I think an awareness of what it takes to go and be successful. So that's why I've been so excited by him. I think that he could go on and have a real top career because he's got physical and football attributes that I think everybody can see, but he's got a mindset that at a young age is very well geared up for having a long and successful career.
I'm sure you'll be modest about it, but I think some eyebrows were raised when you weren't nominated in the Manager of the Year category. Do you get bothered by things like that?
No, I mean, I think the candidates that have been nominated are all worthy of it. I think that I suppose, again, with the longer you're in the job, you judge yourself on what you do on a daily basis. I would never be flippant about if you were recognised, and I've achieved the Manager of the Year award that meant a lot to me at that time. But I think it's just that focus on doing the job the best I can do every single day. I think when you get to, I was going to say this stage of management, I've still not done it that long, but certainly now for 250 odd games, it's about just trying to do my job as well as I can and get better at it every day. That's the thing for me, is continually to strive to improve and learn and get better. Each passing week and each passing season.
Jack, Christian was talking to us a wee while ago about when he was speaking to Graham Matthew about signing for Hibs. They was showing the kind of YouTube videos of 2016, the post-match, the parade. Is that something you tap into as well when you're at this stage of the Scottish Cup competition as a manager?
Well, I think around, if you come to our training ground, there's a few reminders of that day, and I think everybody that comes to the club is aware of how big a day that was because of the history that had went prior to it. I mean, it's unfortunate that eventually the last year means that there's a very different feel around the semi-finals and hopefully a final from that occasion because of the absence of supporters and what would lie ahead in the aftermath of it as well. But I think the thing that it does do, and I can understand why Graham at that point would have shown it to Christian, is because it fully highlights the size of this club and how much it means to so many people, not just Edinburgh, but around the country and beyond. So I think that's something that we use to make sure players fully appreciate, players and staff fully appreciate suppose how fortunate we are, but equally the responsibility we have as well. And this season, more than any, I think we feel that responsibility more than ever, that we know that by performing on the pitch and bringing success, we bring some, I suppose, enjoyment and relief to people that have been frustrated by not being able to come to games, and perhaps how much it's affected their day-to-day life in general. So it's been a big driver for us. It's our way of trying to reward people for the loyalty they've shown. And I said we've got another opportunity on Saturday to get a step forward to doing that properly.
Jack, I know the League Cup semi-final, you know, there was a few, like Jackson Irvine had just signed. There was a couple of players just back from injury and stuff. I think a couple of bad league results. With the exception of last week, Hibs in really good form just now. Boyle, Nisbet, Doidge all scoring goals. Do you feel the squad's in a much better place in this going into the semi-final?
I mean, I do think that you said we dropped below the standards that we've been at recently last week, but with the exception of that, I do think we've been in a good place. I probably feel as if it had been our best spell of form of the season. You know, the rest of the season we've still done well, but I just feel as if we were in a good flow and we had a lot of our top players playing well at the same time. So you mentioned, you know, Jackson and lack of game time probably at that point as well. So another one that has continued to grow as he's had more and more games. So I think overall we feel better equipped going into the game. But it doesn't really count for anything unless you go and perform on the day, and we found that to have cost this season. So it's something that we need to go and produce. You know, as I said, I think the players are something the players are aware of, is that they need to go and bring their best performances at the weekend. And I know I'll keep going back to it, but you do get a sense sometimes as a manager around the group to where they're at, and all week it's been good for me because I feel as if they're in the right place for the game and excited and ready to go for it.
And Alex Gogic suspended obviously played a big part in terms of winning the ball back. How big a miss will he be this week?
Well, he's been important for us this season. He's, I think he brought a dynamic to the squad that we needed. And he's, again, another player I think that has grown as the season went on. I think he's grown in confidence and belief and stature within the group as well. And he's made significant contribution in games with how he's allowed us to play. So we'll miss him. But the motivation for us, and I've said that to him, is to take him to the final and make sure for him he's had a really good season as well, that we can finish that season the best possible way. So I've got good players in that area of the pitch, and it presents an opportunity for one of them to go in at the weekend and show what they can do.
Right. Best of luck tomorrow, Jack.
Thank you.
Yet to lose to Dundee United this season, Jack. How much can you take from those past results into this game, or is it a case of it is a one-off performance?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. I mean, the cup semi-finals are difficult to predict, and there is the emotional aspect of it, and the anxiety that can go around it, and it's a different. Hampden just now is a strange arena to play in. I know all arenas have no fans in them, but that, you know, been there a couple of times already, and it is particularly eerie because of the vastness of the stadium and how far away the pitch is. So the dynamic of playing there is a little bit strange. I think the players have obviously experienced it a couple of times, but I think it makes it very much a one-off game. The games have been tight against United, particularly two games at Tannadice. Ironically, we felt as if our best performances at home, and they scored late on to deny us winning the game. So as much as we can look towards little bits of those games in terms of how we played and how United played, I think Saturday's very much a one-off game.
You said obviously that Hampden is a little bit empty and there's not as many eyes there, but there will still be plenty of eyes on the likes of Josh Doig and Kevin Nisbet, who have had terrific seasons, and obviously there are heavy transfer links. How can you keep those guys grounded going in with a big stage, big performance going into this?
I think first of all they've probably become accustomed to it over the course of the season. I think they've both and others been subject to interest and speculation, and they've shown their ability to handle it in different ways and respond to their performance level. And it's a little bit like you said about being excited about the game, being involved in a game like this at this stage of the season. You know, for a player, it's much better to be the subject to speculation than nobody caring about you. You know, so I think it's something that if they handle it the right way, they should be excited about. They should take it as a compliment. They should grow in confidence and stature for it. The fact that the performance level has attracted attention and speculation and interest and whatever else that brings, and hopefully that's reflected then in the type of performance they produce to show that the players are high in confidence.
Cheers, Jack. All the best.
Thank you.